Hello and welcome to Super Husky Gaming. My name is Wells, and here I'm going to demonstrate for you my Joey Feeler deck. So this is basically a spin on like Joey Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh, and more specifically his season 2 and like kind of Battle City through on like the virtual world kind of deck. And this is my take on like if Joey Wheeler actually cared about, playing half decent cards, and he still plays the crap that he plays, but at the very least, he can maybe, squeeze out a win more than not. But this deck is sort of based around him and what he's all about, so I hope you really enjoy it. So the first card we're starting off with is Giant Rat. So I'm going to center that right there. Yeah, Giant Rat. And this guy, we're just playing one copy. A lot of these cards, barring a couple spells and a few monsters, most of this is like a one of, deck. I'm not really running any kind of, super symbiotic relationship deck. My whole point is just to have a lot of fun and get a couple of plays off and different effects. That's why I'm doing one Giant Rat, but I'm doing all the monsters that he can summon. So monsters like Ejection Fairy Lily, 2 copies of Marauding Captain, 1 Mystic Swordsman level 2, and Exiled Force, and just, because it's Joey Wheeler to Joey Feeler, a copy of Neko Mane King. Yeah, so the reason why I'm playing this guy is because he has a pretty neat effect. He says that if he's sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect during your opponent's turn automatically ends. So it's kind of neat because it's a little tiny bit of a counter against like Delinquent Duo and other discarding effects. If you set it face down, your opponent exile forces it instead of knocking it, or Mystic Swordsman's it. If it gets destroyed, by card effect on field, or, you manage to get it discarded during your opponent's turn, hey, that's great. You get to end their turn. And I don't know, desperate times calls for desperate measures if Giant Rat only has 1 target friggin' left in the deck to bring out. But that's it for sort of those little monsters right there. But the next group of monsters is kind of like the powerhouse, kind of like, this is the additions that Joey Feeler puts into his deck to sort of make it a bit better. Deck cards like Berserk Gorilla, Gigantes for all the earth monsters that you get to summon, and then you got stuff like Different Dimension Warrior Lady, Different Dimension Assailant, and Blade Knight. I love Blade Knight for dealing with a lot of those pesky freaking face downs, and sorry, I was checking to make sure something was right. Yeah, it gets rid of those pesky flip monsters, and on the offhand you can make it 2000 attack that can deal with a lot of threats. And I've also got Gearfried the Iron Knight. Joey wouldn't be complete without Gearfried the Iron Knight or his Goblin Attack Force. I love freaking Goblin Attack Force, and I got this classic old one. It's so beautiful. But he really wouldn't be complete without his Time Wizard, his trusty Time Wizard, which I've had since I was a kid. And this is sort of Joey Wheeler or Joey Feeler not giving up on like all the crappy cards. This is a really, really risky gamble card, but you can Raigeki your opponent's board or you can lose. But oftentimes I like to play this on turns where I'm about to, where literally if I don't blow up their board I lose. This is another classic Joey card that he plays, the Fiend Mega Cyber. Yes, he plays this before. Look it up. It's in Season 4 against his duel against Mai. And obviously Jinzo. Jinzo is the perfect, counter for a lot of, different plays that would definitely screw with a beat down kind of heavy deck like this. But Joey Wheeler would never ever betray nor take from his deck the Red Eyes Black Dragon. I've had this sucker since I was a frickin' little child. I don't know when the structure deck Joey came out, but this is I was so excited when I saw this card. But the main reason why I got excited was because of Scapegoat, but you'll see that later. But that pretty much wraps up all the monsters. It's a pretty basic list. It's just a lot of beatdown and a lot of, some defensive options, but it's extremely extremely offensive and very, very much about just getting on the attack. But, all your opponent has to do is disable it with one or two things, and I'm pretty much done for. But now we move on to the spells. The classic trinity of Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, and Delinquent Duo. Um, yeah, so this is made by my friend Pedro. He drew this. It's because Delinquent Duo is, still pretty friggin' expensive. So he drew this for himself. But then when he got his own copy, I was like, hey, can I freaking keep that? Because that's like a work of art. So I just I couldn't resist, and I love playing it. And although I can't really play it in tournaments because they're a little finicky, it's still a lot of fun to play with friends. And I always keep it, in a deck if I can. But then, the classic Trinity, you got the basics like Mystical Space Typhoon and Heavy Storm, and you got a, Snatch Steel. There's a lot of warriors in the deck, so I'm playing, 2 Reinforcement of the Army. Really, really good to, I love how this one says move 1 level 4 or lower warrior monster. The classic wording. There's another card that Joey would frickin' play is United We Stand, because he's like, oh, all my friends are always behind me, and they'll never ever let me down. We stand united, or some crap like that. You know how he'd be. But on top of that, but now we're going to finish off the spell list with classic spell cards that Joey played. So the first classic is Premature Burial. He played that against Grandpa. We then got Giant Trunade, which he uses that all the freaking time. We got Scapegoat, which I was so fucking excited to see that came out in the structure deck. That was the main reason why I bought it. And the last 2 cards are pretty wacky. So the second to last card, Shield and Sword. Yes, I'm playing Shield and freaking Sword in this build, mainly because it's a Joey card. But on top of that, it actually can come somewhat in handy because you use something like, Goblin Attack Force. You activate Shield and Sword first against your opponent's, Chaos Sorcerer that they put in attack mode. Now it has 2,000 attack points. You summon Goblin Attack Force, and boom, now you can beat over it. This helps you beat over a lot of things. This also just helps you sort of set up for like little sneaky OTKs, because you can activate this and then play off something like, Premature Burial or something else like Call the Haunted to bring back like Injection Fairy Lily or a beater monster. Then you summon something else, and then maybe you special summon Gigantes, and all of a sudden you've got like close to 5,000 to 6,000 damage on board, that your opponent might not have prepared for. So it's pretty interesting. But the last spell in the deck is freaking Question. Yes, I'm playing Question. So the whole purpose about this card is really just for the fun of it. It's really just for the fact that it's a fun card. It keeps your opponent on their toes. If you're playing against like a newer-ish player or somebody who's like not paying a whole lot of attention to your graveyard, you can take advantage of this and bring back, pretty much anything. But you have to be able to set it up in your grave, or set up your grave in a way where you can get that off. But really, it's just to see their reaction when they're like, when they just say, what the hell, you play Question? Yes, I play Question. So in Joey Feeler's deck, he plays all this crap. But that does it for these spells. And now to top off the deck, we're going to go into the traps. Joey Feeler has a lot of classic traps, but we're just going to start off with the staples of stuff that he should have been playing a long time ago. Stuff like Mirror Force, Call of the Haunted to bring back stuff like his Jinzo and his Red Eyes from the grave more easily, and Ceasefire to help deal with a lot of like flip monsters. And again, kind of like how I talked about like those sneaky little 5,000 to 6,000 damage plays where you can do this, can sometimes be the cherry on top to do that little bit of extra damage to sort of finish your opponent off, mainly because I'm not playing Ring of Destruction in the deck, because that's more of a Kaiba card. But now we're going to move on to the classic freaking Joey cards. Bottomless Trap Hole, which he played against Nesbit but never got to activate because the guy was somehow playing around him with level 4 fusion monsters. Drop Off. I love using Drop Off. It's a lot of fun because it's a sneaky little card, and mainly because my luck is never as good as my opponent's, so they're always drawing better than me. So this sort of says, screw you, you're not getting that BLS that I 100% know that you just top decked. But that, that's basically that. Another classic is his Nutrient Z. I'm used to taking a lot of damage all at once, so this card is a good way for extending Joey Feeler's life pool just a little bit longer to maybe buy me a turn or two to so I can get more shenanigans off. Shenanigans like with Metal Morph, the classic Metal Morph. This is just so I can turn Red Eyes Black Dragon into a Red Eyes Black Metal Dragon. That's, to sort of do stuff like that. But it's also to boost up other, like, smaller monsters and give you attack bonuses over the opponent. Or if your opponent thinks that they're going to crash, like, their 1600 or their 1800 Kaiku into your 1800 something else, I can boost it over and just do sneaky little plays. But that's not the last card of the deck. No, the last card of the deck is specially reserved for this very little moment. I'm going to get these out of the way. The last card of the deck that Joey Feeler will never ever refuse to take out of his deck. Graverobber. Yes, freaking Graverobber. So I love this card. I love this card to freaking death. I loved it ever since I was a child. I've been trying to make this card work. It really doesn't. It's pretty hit or miss, but its effect is so fun to get off, but it's so weird and it's so expensive. It's weirdly expensive. So for those who do not know what this card does, when you activate it, you can take one spell card from your opponent's graveyard and add it to your hand. Now, if you do it during your opponent's turn, you are not allowed to activate that spell. But if you add it during your turn, and it has to be a normal spell. I believe it says take one magic card, but I think the official rulings were changed to like something else. Or I think it even says here, yeah, if it's a normal spell, you have to pay 2,000 life points to activate it if it's a normal spell. But that's really cool because, you activate this on your turn when your opponent has something like Graceful Charity or Pot of Greed in the graveyard. You get to activate it. It gives you a little bit of extra draw power, a little boost. But it is weird to set it up, and it is, like, pretty wonky. But it's just a lot of fun when it does go off. It also helps with some shenanigan plays, like when your opponent tries to flip summon their Magician of Faith. And they target something like Pot of Greed or Graceful. They just target a powerful spell, or any spell for that matter. You activate this in response, and you get to take that spell, before that moth resolves. So at the very least, you get to screw with your opponent and do a little bit of a shenanigan, if you're playing as Joey Feeler. But other than that, the card really doesn't do that much else. It really just gives you like little shenanigan plays, but I love it. I love it so much. And as a kid, I always liked pretending to activate it like a spell card, like Joey always would. But that's freaking cheating. But I love taking this deck to locals, and I love playing it at game night with my friends. It's a lot of fun to play with. It's a lot of fun to lose with too, because Joey Feeler is very used to being the defeated party in most duels, but it's still a lot of fun to be able to play with cards like this, cards like Question, Metal Morph, cards that you wouldn't really normally see on a deck like that. But I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the deck list. It's not super great, but I'm gonna upload a couple more deck lists of actual comprehensive decks that aren't total crap. But I really hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for checking out Super Husky Gaming, and I hope that I really hope this was a good first impression. But you have a great day, and I hope to do another one. Bye-bye.